As we mentioned earlier, China and Russia engaged in joint military exercises this week in the East China and Yellow Seas. A look now at the strength of the relationship between the two countries. Vasily Kashin is a senior fellow at the Institute of Far Eastern Studies of the Russian Academy of Sciences. First, I want to ask you, as we watch the joint military exercises now between China and Russia, what is the message those two countries want to deliver with those exercises?
If we talk about the recent naval exercises, these are yearly exercises which started in 2012. Last year, 2018, Russia missed these exercises simply because there were some technical difficulties. Now this year, they're slightly greater scale than most of the previous ones, but it's a regular practice, and it should be understood that Russia and China have been holding joint exercises for like more than a decade, since 2005. And currently we have several joint military exercises every year. It's rather big degree of military-to-military cooperation, something which you can observe among, for example, some of the NATO countries. It affects every branch and service almost. So it's like gradual move towards greater interoperability. And the message is that one day it is possible that two militaries will operate together.
In that, is there a political message as well?
I think there is a political message. Clearly, at this stage, both governments refrain from stating any intention to form a military alliance. Actually, currently, both Russia and China say that military alliances are something which should belong to the past, etc. But they clearly do have this option of quickly forming an effective military alliance, and they show to everyone that this option exists if things turn really bad in their confrontation with the United States.
I was going to say, what does it mean for the United States? What does that strengthening of the relationship between China and Russia mean for the U.S.?
Well, Russia and China have significant complementarity in both economics and in politics. For example, Russia is a big commodity supplier, which can substitute to a certain extent countries like Canada and Australia, which are US allies if things turn really bad between US and China. At the same time, in the military field, Russia has a huge nuclear force, and the Chinese have a huge ocean-going navy. Russians don't have that much of power projection capabilities, but they have a lot of real combat experience. Russians are stronger in day-to-day foreign policy. They have more experienced diplomatic apparatus, but the Chinese are strong in economic diplomacy. So when the two countries start to operate closer together, of course, there will be a lot of synergy. However, there will be a lot of downsides as well, because Russia doesn't really want to get involved into many issues which exist in Asia Pacific, like Russia is currently engaging both China and Japan. Russia has good relations with Vietnam, with India. The same goes for China, for example, in Europe. The Chinese have huge dimension of their foreign policy, which is relations with the European Union, including in Eastern and Central European countries, which are not in good relations with Russia. So if two countries really form a kind of alliance, they also have to lose a lot. And this is why this is a kind of reserve option which can be exercised, to my opinion, under certain circumstances only.
Um, do you see those circumstances emerging, that there may be a greater impetus toward a closer alliance?
I think we are slowly moving towards these circumstances. For example, you can take the recent developments around Taiwan, the change in the way U.S. maintained their political and military relations with Taiwan, the so-called normalization of arms sales to Taiwan, greater number of visits of military delegations, U.S. Navy presence in Taiwan Straits, like they're passing through this strait several times a year. For China, it's a kind of non-negotiable security issue. So this is an area, for example, where um, a, a possibility of direct confrontation between US and China can become real just in several years in relatively short amount of time. And this is the situation when the two countries will have a certain motivation to get closer.
Mr. Kashin, thank you very much for your expertise on this.
Thank you.